there is a book they warned humanity never to read, not because it contains lies, but because it contains truth. A truth so vast, so alien, so utterly destructive to the human mind that merely turning its pages has driven scholars to madness, cultists to murder, and skeptics to suicide. The Necronomicon, the name alone carries weight, whispered in university libraries, locked behind glass in restricted archives, banned by popes, burned by inquisitors, and yet it survived. Fragment by fragment, translation by translation, copy by copy. But here's what they don't tell you. Here's what makes this book different from every other forbidden text in history. It wasn't written by a saint who fell from grace. It wasn't dictated by demons to a corrupted priest. It was written by a man who simply looked too long at the night sky and saw something looking back. Before we speak of the book, we must speak of the man who cursed the world with its existence. Abdul al-Hazred, the mad Arab of Yemen, a poet who abandoned every certainty of faith and reason for 10 years of wandering through deserts that should not exist. Picture the Arabian wasteland in the 8th century, endless dunes beneath a sun that bleaches bone white, nights so black that the stars feel close enough to touch. This is where al-Hazred went, not to find God, but to find what came before God. He wasn't searching for enlightenment, he was searching for proof. And in those empty places where civilization breaks apart and the world becomes raw silence, he found it. Or perhaps it found him. The texts describe encounters, visions, communications with beings whose names alone could crack the foundations of reality. 200 entities descended from somewhere beyond the stars. They had taken an oath. They had taught forbidden sciences to the ancestors of mankind, and then they were cast down, imprisoned, sealed away, but not forgotten. Al-Hazred claimed he visited the ruins of Babylon, descended into underground chambers beneath Memphis, stood before the nameless city buried beneath Arabian sands. A city built by hands that were not human, by minds that predated our species by millions of years. And in those ruins, he learned the rites they performed, the names they chanted, the geometry of summoning, the precise alignments of stars required to thin the barriers between dimensions. He learned, and he wrote it down. The manuscript he created was called Al-Azif. In Arabic, the word refers to the nocturnal sounds of insects, but Al-Hazred gave it a different meaning. The sound of demons howling in the desert night. The sound that makes you freeze in darkness, knowing something unseen is circling just beyond the firelight. For 10 years, he wrote, obsessively, feverishly, his mind unraveling as the knowledge poured through him. And when he finished, he didn't hide it. He circulated it among scholars, philosophers, those who dealt in hidden law, as if he wanted the knowledge to spread, as if silence was more dangerous than revelation. In the year 738, Abdul al-Hazred vanished, not quietly, not peacefully. According to witnesses in the marketplace of Damascus, he was seized by an invisible force in broad daylight, torn apart before a crowd of horrified onlookers. No body remained, no bones to bury, only screams, and then silence. His book survived. For 2 centuries, Al-Azif circulated in secret, passed between scholars who understood Arabic, debated in private chambers, hidden from authorities who already suspected its contents were dangerous. But in the year 950, it crossed a threshold. A Byzantine scholar named Theodorus Philetas encountered a copy in Constantinople. He read it, and he understood that this was not superstition. This was documentation, a record of something that predated human history, something that could return. Philetus translated Al-Azif into Greek, and in doing so he gave it the name that would echo through centuries, Necronomicon, the Book of the Laws of the Dead, or perhaps the Image of the Law of the Dead. The translation itself is uncertain, deliberate ambiguity, but the core meaning is clear. This book does not speak of our dead. It speaks of things that are dead, but not gone. Things that wait in states between existence and void. Things that can return when the stars align correctly. The Greek translation spread through the Byzantine Empire. Scholars consulted it. Occultists copied fragments, and the Church noticed. In 1058, the Patriarch of Constantinople ordered every copy burned. The book was condemned as heretical, dangerous, corrosive to faith and reason alike. But you cannot burn an idea. Fragments survived, hidden in private collections, smuggled across borders, copied in secret by those who believed the knowledge was too important to lose. And in 1228, a Danish scholar named Olaus Wormius produced a Latin translation. This version reached deeper into Europe. It appeared in the libraries of universities, in the collections of nobles, in the hands of secret societies who saw in its pages the keys to power. Pope Gregory IX banned it immediately, ordered it suppressed wherever found. The Inquisition hunted copies with the same zeal they hunted heretics, and yet it endured. By the 20th century, scholars claimed only 5 complete copies remained. The British Museum in London, the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, Widener Library at Harvard, the University of Buenos Aires, and one final copy in a fictional town called Arkham, Massachusetts, locked in the restricted vault of Miskatonic University. But here's the question no one wants to answer. If the book was so thoroughly suppressed, why do whispers of it still circulate? Why do private collectors still search for copies? Why do occult bookstores still list it for sale in catalogs printed on aging parchment? Because suppression creates desire, and desire creates belief. The content of the Necronomicon is not organized like a textbook. It does not proceed chapter by chapter through orderly categories. Instead, it spirals. It circles back on itself. It contradicts and clarifies and obscures in equal measure. Reading it is not an act of learning. It's an act of unraveling. The book opens with a statement that redefines everything humanity believes about death. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons even death may die. These words appear early, a thesis statement for cosmic horror. Death is not final, it is conditional, temporary, a state that can be reversed under the right circumstances, or when enough time passes. The book describes beings called the Great Old Ones, not gods in any sense we understand. Not demons, not angels. Something else entirely. Entities so ancient that they existed before our planet formed, before our sun ignited, before time itself took the shape we recognize. They are not evil. They are not benevolent. They simply are, and their existence is incompatible with ours. Cthulhu, the high priest of the Great Old Ones, a being whose physical form defies description because the human mind cannot process geometries that exist in more than 3 dimensions. Tentacles, wings, a vaguely humanoid mass. But these are only shadows, echoes of something far stranger. Cthulhu lies dreaming in the sunken city of R'lyeh, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, and his dreams seep into human minds, infecting the sensitive, driving artists to paint visions they don't understand, inspiring cultists across the globe to prepare for his return. Yog-Sothoth, the key and the gate, an entity that exists outside of time. past, present, and future are one within Yog-Sothoth. It is everywhere and nowhere. To summon it is to open doorways between dimensions. To invoke it is to risk shattering the boundaries that keep our reality separate from others. The Necronomicon contains passages describing how certain families, certain bloodlines, attempted to merge with Yog-Sothoth to create hybrid offspring, part human, part something else. These experiments did not end well. Azathoth, the blind idiot god, the nuclear chaos at the center of all existence. Azathoth does not think, does not plan, does not desire, it simply churns. An infinite mass of entropy and energy at the heart of the cosmos. And according to the Necronomicon, all of reality may be nothing more than Azathoth's dream, a meaningless nightmare generated by a mindless god. And if it wakes, everything ends. These are not the only entities. The book catalogs dozens more. Hastur, the king in yellow, whose name alone can corrupt. Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, who walks among humans in disguise, spreading madness for entertainment. Shub-Niggurath, the black goat of the woods, endlessly birthing grotesque offspring across dimensions. But the Necronomicon does not merely name these beings. It provides context, history. It claims that millions of years ago these entities ruled Earth, that civilizations far older than humanity worshipped them, built cities in their honor, performed rites to maintain their favor, and then something happened. They were cast down, sealed away, imprisoned in places beyond reach, beneath oceans, in other dimensions, in states of hibernation that blur the line between life and death. But the seals are not permanent. The Necronomicon makes this clear. When the stars return to certain alignments, when specific rituals are performed, when the barriers weaken, they can return. And humanity, in our ignorance, may be the ones who accidentally summon them back. The most disturbing sections of the Necronomicon are not the descriptions of entities. They are the rituals, the step-by-step instructions for opening doors that should remain closed. These passages are precise. They list the materials required, the words to be spoken, the symbols to be drawn, the exact positions of celestial bodies necessary for success. One ritual describes how to summon Yog-Sothoth. It requires a specific alignment of stars, a circle drawn with powdered silver, incantations in languages that predate human speech, and a sacrifice, not of blood, though that is mentioned, but of knowledge. The summoner must understand what they are calling forth, must comprehend, even partially, the nature of the entity, and that understanding, that is what destroys them. Because to truly understand Yog-Sothoth is to realize that time is an illusion, that your past, present, and future exist simultaneously, that you are not a continuous being but a scattered series of moments. And once you see yourself that way, you cannot unsee it. Another section details the resurrection of the dead, but not in the way folklore describes. This is not about restoring life. It's about calling back consciousness after the body has decayed, about forcing awareness back into rotting flesh. The ritual does not promise restoration. It promises suffering, eternal awareness trapped in decay. The Necronomicon presents this not as power, but as punishment. There are passages describing how to transfer one's consciousness into another body, how to prolong life by abandoning the flesh and existing as pure thought, how to travel between dimensions by altering one's molecular structure. Each ritual is described with clinical precision, and each comes with a warning, though the warnings are subtle, buried in the text, easy to overlook if you're focused on the power being offered. The book also contains star charts, maps of constellations that do not match any modern astronomy. These charts allegedly show the positions of stars as they were millions of years ago, or as they will be millions of years in the future. The Necronomicon suggests that these alignments are cyclical, that history is not linear but circular, that what happened before will happen again. And when the stars return to their ancient positions, the great old ones will rise. Reading the Necronomicon is not a passive act. The book does not simply convey information, it alters the reader. Scholars who study it report vivid nightmares, dreams of cyclopean cities, of geometries that hurt to perceive, of voices speaking in languages they do not know but somehow understand. Some claim these are hallucinations, side effects of obsession, but others insist the dreams are real, that the act of reading the Necronomicon creates a psychic link, a connection to the entities it describes, that once you open the book, they know, and they begin reaching back. There are documented cases. A professor at Miskatonic University who studied the Latin translation for 6 months. His colleagues noticed changes. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating, filled notebooks with symbols no one could identify. When they finally forced entry to his office, they found him catatonic, staring at a wall, whispering in a language that sounded like no human tongue. He never recovered. Spent the rest of his life in an institution drawing the same symbol over and over. A spiral within a spiral within a spiral, going nowhere and everywhere at once. A collector in Buenos Aires acquired a fragmentary copy in 1890. He boasted about it to friends, held private readings where he would recite passages in the original Greek. Within a year, 3 attendees of those readings had committed suicide. 2 more vanished without explanation. The collector himself was found dead in his library. The book opened before him, his face frozen in an expression witnesses described as not fear, but recognition. These are not isolated incidents. Throughout history, the Necronomicon has left a trail, not of bodies, though those exist, but of minds shattered, of people who saw too much, who learned things that human cognition cannot process. The book does not kill directly. It simply removes the illusions that keep us sane, the belief that we are important, that the universe cares, that our lives have meaning beyond the brief flicker of consciousness in an indifferent void. And once those illusions are gone, most people cannot continue. Here's where the story becomes strange, because the Necronomicon, as we've described it, does not exist. It never did. It was invented by a writer named Howard Phillips Lovecraft in the 1920s, a pulp fiction author living in Providence, Rhode Island, who created the book as a literary device, a prop to unify his stories of cosmic horror. He admitted this openly in letters to friends, described how he invented Abdul al-Hazred as a childhood game, how he constructed the book's fictional history to make it feel real. It was fiction, deliberate fabrication, a masterpiece of false scholarship, designed to blur the line between invention and reality. And yet, something happened. The fiction refused to stay fictional. Readers wrote to Lovecraft asking where they could find copies. Libraries received inquiries about the Necronomicon's location. Occult bookshops began listing it in catalogs, half as joke, half as serious offering. The line between Lovecraft's invention and actual belief began to blur, and that blurring, that's where it gets dangerous. In 1977, a book titled Necronomicon appeared in bookstores. Published under the pseudonym Simon, it claimed to be a genuine translation of the ancient text, a recovered manuscript based on Sumerian mythology. The publishers presented it with complete seriousness, included introductions tracing its alleged history, provided rituals and incantations readers could perform. It sold over 800,000 copies, and people used it. Occultists performed the rites. Cultists adopted it as scripture. Some claimed the rituals worked, that entities responded, that doors opened. Was it real? Of course not. It was a hoax, a fabrication building on Lovecraft's fabrication. But here's the unsettling part. Once enough people believe in something, once they act on that belief, does it matter if it started as fiction? If you perform a ritual with absolute faith that it will summon something, and then you experience what you interpret as a summoning, has the ritual worked, or has your belief created the experience? The Simon Necronomicon was not the only one. Dozens of versions followed, each claiming authenticity, each providing different rituals, different histories, different interpretations. Some were clearly parodies, others were deadly serious, and gradually the Necronomicon stopped being Lovecraft's invention. It became a cultural artifact, a symbol, a repository for humanity's fascination with forbidden knowledge. The question that haunts every discussion of the Necronomicon is this: why? Why does a fictional book inspire such devotion, such fear, such obsession? Why do people want it to be real so desperately that they create real versions? The answer lies in what the book represents. It is not about demons or magic. It is about confronting the possibility that we are not central, that the universe is vast, ancient, and utterly indifferent to human existence, that there are forces and entities whose existence predates us by unimaginable spans of time, and that our entire history, all our civilizations, our religions, our philosophies, may be nothing more than a brief footnote in a cosmic story we cannot comprehend. This idea terrifies, but it also liberates. If we are insignificant, then our failures don't matter. Our suffering is temporary. Our anxieties about mortality, about meaning, about legacy, all of it dissolves in the face of cosmic indifference. The Necronomicon offers this perspective, not as comfort, but as truth. And some people need that truth. They need to believe there is something beyond the mundane, beyond the ordinary horrors of human existence, something vast and terrible and utterly beyond our control. The book also taps into the eternal human hunger for forbidden knowledge. We have always been drawn to secrets, to things we're told we cannot know. The Necronomicon is the ultimate forbidden book, the one whose very existence is a transgression. To seek it is to defy the boundaries placed around human knowledge. To read it is to risk everything for understanding, and that risk, that's intoxicating. It also reflects our deep ambivalence about science and progress. Lovecraft wrote during an era of rapid scientific advancement, discoveries that overturned centuries of certainty, relativity, quantum mechanics, the vastness of the cosmos revealed through telescopes. These discoveries were exhilarating, but also terrifying, because they suggested that reality was stranger, more incomprehensible than anyone had imagined. The Necronomicon embodies that anxiety. It is the book that reveals too much, the text that proves our intuitions about the universe are catastrophically wrong. The cultural impact of the Necronomicon extends far beyond Lovecraft's original stories. It has become an icon, a shorthand for forbidden knowledge in dozens of films, shows, games, and books. When Sam Raimi's Evil Dead franchise featured a flesh-bound book called the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, it introduced the concept to millions who had never read Lovecraft. When heavy metal bands invoke its name in album titles and lyrics, they tap into its symbolism of transgression and power. When video games include it as a collectible item or plot device, they perpetuate the myth that such a book could exist. Each adaptation adds layers. In some versions, the Necronomicon is a demon summoning manual. In others, it's a historical chronicle. In still others, it's a weapon against the very forces it describes. This flexibility is part of its endurance. The book can be whatever the story requires, while always retaining its core identity. The text you should not read, the knowledge that destroys. There's a pattern to how it appears. Characters who seek the Necronomicon are rarely portrayed as wise. They are obsessed, desperate, willing to sacrifice everything for answers. And the book always takes more than it gives. It might provide the ritual that saves the world, but the person who reads it, they never survive intact. Their sanity fractures, their worldview shatters. They learn what they sought to know, and they wish they hadn't. This pattern reflects a deeper truth about human nature. We are curious creatures. We cannot resist mysteries. Tell us there's a door we must never open, and we will spend our lives trying to pick the lock. The Necronomicon is that door, and every story that features it is a warning. But warnings have never stopped us before. Walk into certain bookstores today, the ones that smell of incense and old paper, the ones with sections labeled occult or esoteric, and you will find copies of the Necronomicon for sale. Thick volumes bound in leather, pages that look aged, though they were printed last year, multiple editions, multiple translations, all claiming some degree of authenticity, all completely fabricated. But the people who buy them, some buy them as curiosities, collector's items, novelties that reference a beloved piece of horror fiction. But others buy them with intent. They study the rituals, practice the incantations, attempt to summon the entities described within, and they report results. Vivid dreams, unexplained phenomena, presences felt in dark rooms. Are these real? Are they psychological projections? Does it matter? There are online communities devoted to the Necronomicon, forums where practitioners share experiences, compare versions, debate which translation is most effective. They speak of the book with reverence, with fear, with the kind of obsessive detail usually reserved for religious texts, because for them it has become a religious text, a grimoire that offers access to powers beyond the conventional. Universities still receive inquiries, researchers asking about the restricted collections, claiming they need access for scholarly purposes. Some are disappointed to learn the truth, others refuse to accept it. They insist the book must exist somewhere, that Lovecraft was merely transcribing something real, that his fiction was a cover story designed to hide the truth in plain sight. These theories multiply, become elaborate, fed by the same instinct that drives all conspiracy thinking, the belief that there are hidden truths, secret knowledge available only to those willing to look. The Necronomicon endures because it touches something primal, the fear of insignificance, the terror of cosmic indifference, the hunger for knowledge that transcends ordinary human limits. It offers a mythology for a secular age, one that doesn't require belief in traditional gods, but instead proposes entities so vast, so alien, that they might as well be gods, except they don't love us, don't judge us, barely notice us at all. This is the horror at the heart of Lovecraft's work. Not monsters, not demons, but the realization that we are alone in an uncaring universe, that our existence is accidental, that consciousness itself may be a cosmic mistake. The Necronomicon is the book that proves this, that documents it with the clinical precision of a scientific journal. Reading it is not an act of moral transgression, it's an act of intellectual suicide. Because once you understand the true nature of reality, How do you go back to caring about anything? The book also endures because it's never finished. Lovecraft never wrote it completely. Every version that exists is someone's interpretation, someone's attempt to fill in the gaps. This means the Necronomicon is always evolving, always growing. New editions appear, new rituals are added, new entities are named. It is a collaborative mythology, a living text despite being fictional, or perhaps because of it. Some scholars argue that the Necronomicon has become a modern grimoire in its own right, that regardless of its origins as fiction, it now functions as a genuine occult text. People use it, believe in it, experience results from working with it. In the realm of magic and belief, intention and faith often matter more than historical authenticity. By that measure, the Necronomicon is real, not as an 8th century Arabic manuscript, but as a contemporary phenomenon, a book that exists because we cannot stop creating it. The story of the Necronomicon is ultimately a story about boundaries, the boundary between fiction and belief, between imagination and reality, between safe knowledge and dangerous truth. Lovecraft drew a line and then spent his career erasing it. He created something so convincing that it refused to stay on the page. It leaked into the real world, inspired hoaxes, fueled obsessions, became part of the cultural vocabulary, and in doing so, it proved his central thesis, that some ideas are contagious, that knowledge, once released, cannot be contained, that the human mind is fragile, susceptible to notions that undermine its stability. The Necronomicon was designed to be such an idea, a literary virus, and it worked better than Lovecraft could have imagined. We create the things that haunt us. Lovecraft invented a book that terrified, and then readers made it real, not by discovering an ancient manuscript, but by refusing to let the idea die, by writing version after version, by performing rituals from its pages, by believing despite all evidence to the contrary. The Necronomicon exists now in a liminal space, not quite fiction, not quite reality, a ghost book, present in its absence. There's a final irony. Lovecraft wrote stories warning against forbidden knowledge, against curiosity that exceeds human capacity, against the pursuit of truths that destroy sanity, and his readers responded by seeking exactly that, by wanting the Necronomicon to be real so they could read it themselves. We learned nothing from the warning, or perhaps we learned exactly what Lovecraft intended, that warnings never work, that humans will always reach for the forbidden, always open the locked door, always read the book they're told to burn. If you're still watching this, if you've listened this far, then you understand. The Necronomicon isn't dangerous because it summons demons. It's dangerous because it represents something we can't resist, the promise of forbidden truth, the illusion that somewhere, hidden in ancient texts and suppressed knowledge, lies the answer to what we are, why we're here, what happens after. And the Necronomicon whispers, nothing, we're accidents, brief sparks of consciousness in an indifferent void. And when we're gone, the universe will not notice. That's the real horror. Not tentacles and teeth, not monsters lurking in shadows, but the absence of meaning, the cosmic silence, the understanding that our gods, our philosophies, our entire framework of existence might be comforting lies we tell ourselves to avoid facing the truth. The Necronomicon claims to provide that truth, and whether it's real or not, whether it ever existed or was always fiction, the fact that we want it to exist tells us everything we need to know about ourselves. We are the species that seeks out our own destruction, that cannot leave mysteries alone, that will sacrifice sanity for certainty even when the certainty is annihilation. The Necronomicon is a mirror, and what it reflects is not cosmic horror, but human nature, our hunger, our weakness, our refusal to accept ignorance, even when knowledge will destroy us. This channel exists to explore forbidden texts, to examine the books that civilizations tried to erase, to understand why certain knowledge was deemed too dangerous to survive. The Necronomicon is the ultimate example, a book so dangerous it didn't even need to exist to cause damage. The idea alone was enough, and that idea continues spreading, infecting new minds, inspiring new versions, refusing to die. Subscribe if you want to continue this journey, if you want to explore the other texts, the ones that actually existed, the grimoires that kings banned and popes burned and scholars hid, because the Necronomicon may be fiction, but it's based on a truth. That humanity has always been drawn to forbidden knowledge, and that knowledge, once discovered, changes everything. Sometimes for better, often for worse. Always irreversibly, there are other books waiting, other secrets buried in history, other doors we've been warned not to open. This is just the beginning. The Necronomicon showed us what fictional forbidden knowledge looks like. Now let's examine the real thing, because the truth is always stranger than fiction, and far more dangerous. The stars are aligning. The old knowledge is resurfacing, and whether we're ready or not, the doors are opening. One by one, page by page, book by book. Welcome to the archive. Welcome to the forbidden knowledge. And remember, once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Some doors, once opened, never close. Do not read. But of course, you already have.